All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Baal Shem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders of GMS for showing me this great truth. And shalom and salutations. And honors to my brothers on the four corners pumping out this truth with sincerity, long suffering, and longevity. Alright? This is the Hidden Tyranny. Alright? I'm going to read the introduction, part 1. It states, this booklet contains the text of a most revealing and shocking interview with a Jew by the name of Harold Rosenthal, which was conducted in 1976 by a concerned patriot, a Walter White Jr. Mr. Rosenthal, an influential Jew, learned in the Jewish ways and involved in the workings of government in Washington, D.C., explained the Jewish involvement and cause of the major problems we face today. Rosenthal, in exposing certain aspects of the inner invisible world of Jewry, revealed the modes and tactics Jews have used in destroying Christian civilization and covertly attaining control over our lives and governments. The result has been a hidden tyranny upon us, like the tyranny waged against the saints by the Red Beast system of revelation referred to as Mystery Babylon. Alright? But how could such a small number of Jews enslave so many people and gain such an overwhelming control over their governments, especially without their being aware of it? The answer to this may be found in Christ, but it's really supposed to be for Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai's parable of the unjust steward, which represents Jewry. They are able to prevail in the world despite their ungodly ways because of their cunning and shrewd ways. As it says Christ again, but it's for Yahweh Shai, said, for the children of this world are in the generation wiser than the children of light. Luke 6:8. Actually, it's more than that. In other words, the Jew with his worldly mindset is wiser than the Most High's Christian people, than God's Christian people is what they put. When you read the words of Mr. Rosenthal, the reality of this statement will come to light. This problem was so prevalent and important for us to overcome that Yahweh Shai, states Christ, had instructed us to be wise as serpents, Matthew 10:16. America and the world is now covered in political, economic, moral, and social problems, which need to be acted upon by Christian people. As Edmund Burke stated, the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Well, you need to know who's good first and foremost, but that's another subject. But before we can properly act, we need a proper, not just a superficial, understanding of the problem. This booklet will help provide the reader with that understanding. In the manuscript, the emphasis shown as underlined text has been added, while that in bold is pure original. The footnote, comments, and illustration have been added by myself, Charles A. Wiseman, June 1992. So we're going to get on the Hidden Tyranny Part 1, alright? And it reads, in a highly confidential interview with a Jewish administrative assistant to one of the nation's ranking senators, he said, alright, it is a marvel that the American people do not rise up and drive every Jew out of this country. The Jew, Mr. Harold Wallace Rosenthal, made this statement after admitting Jewish dominance in all significant national programs. He said, we Jews continue to be amazed with the ease by which Christian Americans have fallen into our hands, while the naive Americans wait for, somebody can say that word, you're good, Khrushchev to bury them. We have taught them to submit to our every command. This submission has been made possible by the gradual adoption of Talmudic concepts. Which means they didn't really create it. All right? As being Christian, thus producing a Jewish society. It is what Rabbi Martin Siegel called the Judaization of Christianity. Right? When asked how a nation could be captured without their knowing it, Mr. Rosenthal attributed this victory to absolute control of the media. He boasted of Jewish control of all the media. Any newspaper which refused to absolute control of the media. He boasted of Jewish control of all the media. Any newspaper which refused to acquiesce to control news was brought to its knees by withdrawing advertising. Failing in this, the Jews stopped the supply of news, print, and ink. It is a very simple matter, he stated. When asked about men in high political office, Mr. Rosenthal said that no one in the last 3 decades have achieved any political power without Jewish approval. Without Jewish approval. All right. Americans have not had a presidential choice since 1932. So why did all you guys vote for Obama, vote for Clinton? Why y'all voting? Why are you voting? Americans have not had a president choice since 1932, when Franklin Roosevelt was our man. Every president since Roosevelt has been our man. Even before Roosevelt, the Jewish influence upon Woodrow Wilson, 1913 to 21, was quite evident. As Henry Ford wrote in 1921, I'm going to get on Henry Ford later, Mr. Wilson, while president, was very close to the Jews. His administration, as everyone knows, was predominantly Jewish. The International Jew, Dearborn Published Company, 3rd page 28 through 9. 29. In a discussion about George Wallace, Mr. Rosenthal smiled and suggested that we note where Wallace stands today. When the U.S. foreign policy was mentioned, the bedroom confidence of the interview was all but set aside. With disdain, the mockery, he sneered at the American stupidity. Okay? The American stupidity. And you motherfuckers are still stupid. The American stupidity in failing to see through the entire scope of Kissinger's foreign policy. It is Zionist communist policy from the beginning to the end. Yet the citizens think this Jewish policy will benefit America. Idiots. The reason for this is because the Jewish media refers to the Zionist communist policy as American policy, pursuant to constitutional provisions. Ignorance of our own system of government is the real issue here. He cited Lieutenant Angolia was an example of Jewish diplomacy. The credulous nature of Americans drew only contempt from him. The interview continued on an almost ominous plane. We Jews have put upon issue to the American people that we promote both sides of the issue as confusion reigns. Okay? We Jews have put upon issue to the American people that we promote both sides of the issue as confusion reigns. So they're telling you they do it on purpose just to confuse you because you're not understanding that there's the one that's doing it. All right? With their eyes fixed on the issues, they fail to see who is behind every scene. We Jews toy with the American public as a cat toys with a mouse. As the conversation went into the late hours, one could sense that perhaps America derives the region of terror being planned for her. The Jewish mind pits every ethnic group against the other. The Jewish mind pits every ethnic group against the other. The blood of the masses will flow as we wait for our day of world victory, Mr. Rosenthal said coldly. This is the same dialogue spoken by communist revolutionary leaders. For hours after this incredible discussion, a sense of inadequacy prevailed. It is possible that another group of human beings could be so treacherous in spirit, so evil in intent, yet the words heard and the evidence at hand are real. It is possible that the American people can remain docile even while their life's blood is being drained from them. It seems so.